Mike Malloy is a liberal radio legend. He's one of the pioneers of progressive talk, along with guys like Tom Hartman. And he's not a guy that I agree with 100% of the time, okay? That's for sure. There's been many segments I've seen of his where I say, not with you 100% there, buddy. But, when Mike Malloy is on, my goodness, is he on. And he can be very inspiring if he nails a topic. So, with that being said, let's listen to the great Mike Malloy destroy a caller on the issue of Israel-Palestine. This is from his radio show last week.
I want to talk about Israel. And so, can you even imagine any other country in the world allowing 530 rockets to fall before it took a step to defend itself? And then hearing the last segment, you guys were talking about not wanting to help fund the Iron Dome. The Iron Dome isn't just to protect Israelis. It's also so that they don't have to fire back and cause casualties in these areas of the Gaza Strip where the population is so densely populated. I just don't know. Tell me what you think would be an acceptable. When are the Israelis supposed to defend themselves? How can they do that?
Well, wait a second, Mimi. Let me just turn it around and ask you something. You are a family. You have lived in St. Paul, Minnesota, for your family and your antecedents for probably, let's say, 100 years. And all of a sudden, I show up on your doorstep, literally on your doorstep. And I say to you, Mimi, get out of this house. This is my house. Let me tell you why it's my house. It's my house because my religion says it's my house. Now get out. Now, I happen to be standing on your doorstep with a gun pointed at your head and at
Wait,
your...
who are you?
No. Hold on. No. I listened to you. You
okay,
listened
but
to
I
me.
Don't know which side you're talking for, but okay.
All right, Mimi, I'm going to put you on hold so you can go ahead and interrupt if you want to. But I'm standing on your front porch, and I order you and your family out of your house. And I tell you that it's my house, not your house. And the reason it's my house and my block and my neighborhood is because my religious belief says it's mine. And you sit there and you say, well, no. What are you talking about? We've been here 100 years. I'm sorry. Get out, Mimi. So you leave. And the reason you leave is because you know if you don't, I'm going to blow up your house and probably blow up your family. So you leave and you move down the street. And for the next 60 years, you sit there and you get very, very angry because I came into your house and told you to get out. So what you do, Mimi, you decide, well, I know what I'll do. I'm going to start throwing rocks at what used to be my house, and it'll break the windows. That'll make that damn Malloy move. So you start throwing rocks. And then I come outside and I say, Mimi, were you throwing rocks? And you look at me rather sheepishly, and that's when I level an RPG at you and your family and your house, and I pull the trigger, and all of a sudden, whoosh, you're all gone. Now, which of us is the terrorist? You tell me.
What's that I see on the ground right there? Oh, yes, here it is. You dropped your ass. I picked it up for you. Damn, Mike Malloy. You just owned that caller. Well done. Now, he's right, okay, but let me clarify a few things. See, I don't know because I haven't seen him talk much more on this particular issue, but if I were to isolate that clip and try to extrapolate from it, maybe this is the case, maybe it isn't, but it appears as if he might even support a Hamas-like response in terms of doing violence, okay? And I do not support that. I don't know if he supports that, but if I were to try to guess based on the clip, he might say, well, yeah, they're just doing, self-defense. But I don't support that, and the reason why I don't support that is because it doesn't work, okay? And Hamas is also a right-wing party, keep it real. They're very fundamentalist Muslim. That's not me saying that. That's them. I mean, I've seen their Vice has done fantastic pieces on that, where they go on the ground into Gaza and they see what Hamas is doing. They're not good people, okay? Far right-wing Muslim radical party. Now, with that being said, I don't support their violence. It's not right. But in terms of the general explanation of what's happening in the region, is Malloy right? Oh, he's 100% right. Now, when it comes to the partition plan, this is what I try to stress to people who defend Israel at all costs. How can you look at the partition plan and not sympathize with the Palestinians? Because essentially what happened is, and look, the Jews had it rough throughout history, and they have it rough today in terms of they're scapegoated all the time. I mean, look what happened in Germany with the Holocaust. And post the Holocaust, basically the international community said, all right, well, we got to give them someplace, so let's give them right here. And the problem is they basically said, step aside, Palestinians. Move on over. You'll be all right. We're going to be right here. Appreciate it. So in 1947, they were given the land, and the Palestinians were like, wait, what? We didn't have a say on this, but you're taking our land? Now, look, it's fucked up, right? But then there's also the element of what were you going to do with them in the first place? Were you going to give them a piece of Germany? Maybe that would have been a better idea. I mean, were you going to make them disperse elsewhere in the world? I don't know. Maybe that was a better idea. The initial creation of it was totally fucked up. Okay, and I want Israelis to understand the Palestinian perspective that when you get kicked off your land like that, you're going to be fucking pissed off about it. Now, at the same time, the Palestinians should understand the Israeli perspective and say, yeah, well, you did just have the Holocaust happen to you. You've been scapegoated forever. That's a fucking problem. And now, I mean, maybe we should be nice to you because you had a rough history, and here, take a little bit of the land or whatever, right? But the problem is, in the wars after 1947, Israel would conquer and then go further, and then conquer and then go further, to the point where the 67 borders extended, and then from 67 and onward, they extended even further, and now, you know, it's roughly 65-70% of the land is Israeli, and the remaining portion is Palestinian. There's a little area in Gaza where they're all basically crunched up together with no rights, and there's a blockade, and then there's the West Bank, and there's still settlements expanding over there. So, well, what's the solution? What do we need to do? Well, first of all, we need to understand, just like we do in the U.S., I mean, yes, what the U.S. did to the Native Americans is beyond fucked up. We did a fucking genocide. We killed everything from here westward. Okay, I'm in New York. From here westward, just kill everything. Westward expansion, manifest destiny. We did the Indian Removal Act and the Trail of Tears. We did genocide, pure, plain and simple. We did genocide, okay? That's wrong. That's historically horrific. It's immoral. It's unethical. You name it, right? But today, is it practical to just give all the land back to the Cherokees and the Algonquins? Doesn't make, the numbers don't add up. Doesn't make fucking sense, right? So there's got to be some sort of accommodation. The same thing in Israel. They've done a lot of bad things in the wars after 1947, 1967, so on and so forth, and they're brutally repressing the Palestinians today. So what's the answer? We have to be reasonable. The Palestinians need to understand. Hamas needs to understand. There's going to be no right to return. Just not going to happen. Not practical, never going to happen. Just like we're not going to give our land back to the Cherokees and the Algonquins and the Mohawks in the U.S., right? So then what do? Well, you need a two-state solution. And you need to draw up borders that make sense, and you need to compromise. So what are you going to do? Well, look, I think Israel needs to give away more. They have the power right now. They know they've conquered the region in the near past, so they should be the adults. They should be bigger, and they should realize, yeah, what we did was wrong in expanding, and we should at least go back to the 1967 borders, give a two-state solution, both getting UN recognition and full statehood status, right? There should be a giant UN buffer zone in the middle to quell any continued violence. But if we do that, if we either go back to the 67 borders and do a two-state solution, or I prefer the 47 borders and make it 50-50, because that's about 50-50, and do the two-state solution, well, then you're going to see there's a better chance of peace, okay? And the violence will certainly drop tremendously. But I think the point that Malloy was stressing, and he's right about this, is in today's day and age, there appears to be a total disregard on the right-wing Israeli side and the Likud side of the reality of how Israel was created. So this idea when people parrot mindlessly, Israel has a right to defend itself, Israel has a right to defend itself, Malloy's response is essentially, what about the fucking Palestinian right to defend themselves? What about the situation he laid out where basically Israel stepped in and said, okay, Palestinians, move on over. This is our house now. There's no acknowledgement of that, and there's no accepting of that, and there's no understanding that, well, maybe they're so angry and maybe they're firing rockets because you're right there and because you're occupying them. But no, I know in order to even bring that up or have that conversation or try to be reasonable and find a compromise, I'll be painted as anti-Israel, Mike Malloy will be painted as anti-Israel, and we'll forget the reality of the situation. Well, I say fuck that, and I say that was a great job done by Mike Malloy.